Hi everybody, welcome back to CSM. This is Jamie again, and I'm here to talk about something very important, especially if you're beginning to study classical guitar, and that is filing your nails. It's something that I think is very overlooked today. I see it in a lot of students that come in with unkempt fingernails. And really, if you're not spending the time to file your nails, you're really doing yourself a great disservice. The right hand is extremely important for any kind of style of playing. It's where the sound starts, it's where it stops, it's where a tone comes from. It's really everything. There's a lot put on the left hand, and that is very important as well, but this is really where everything begins. So to start off, if you're just starting classical guitar studies, I want to give you a little word of warning, is that it's very important to start your classical studies without fingernails. The idea behind the technique of classical guitar is that we place our flesh on the string first, and then when we pluck, the string hits the nail and is released off the nail. It's not a consistent nail hitting the string, kind of like a guitar pick. If you play like that, your sound is not going to be very good at all, and you're just going to have a really buzzy, nasty kind of sound. So I don't know if you can see this well enough, but if this is the string, you can see I'm touching with my flesh first, and it releases off the nail. Alright, so it's very important to start your classical guitar studies with just your fingers, just so you get a consistent placement each time when you go to pluck that string. Once that's consistent, you're touching the same place on the finger every time, then you can go ahead and start with growing out your nails. Filing, like I said before, filing your nails is extremely important, okay? If your nails are too long, you're going to have some trouble with playing and developing your technique and your speed. If you're playing with nails that have a lot of divots that are uneven, you're going to hear that every time you go to pluck the string. You're going to hear that there's a little scratch in your nail. In a lot of bad scenarios, actually, if your nails are really rough, you can start to scratch the string, which then you're always going to feel that scratch in the string. And over time it'll weaken and you'll end up breaking a string at the worst possible moment. With filing nails, there's a lot of different factors. First of all, everybody's hand is going to be different. Everybody's nails are going to be different. So there are an awful lot of different shapes that go along with every type of finger. It's a very, very personal thing. You have to try a really long time and in practice doing it to find the type of nail shape that you like and that works for you. I've been playing for about 18 years and I'm still working on it. I go from having shorter nails to longer nails to slightly different shapes. I'm starting to calm down a little bit and I'm really liking the idea of just going with the contour of my fingertip. I have very rounded fingertips, if you can see that. So I really like just to go with the roundness of my fingertip. If you find that you have more of a square nail, there's different kind of angled shapes for that you can try. There's like I said, I don't want to get too much into detail with that. It's just very important that you are filing your nails and that you do work with it every time you go to touch the guitar. Alright, if your nails are too long, like I said, it's going to really hurt your sound and hurt your technique and you won't be progressing as well. So the first thing I want to show you is a good rule of thumb as far as the nail length goes, is that if you take a flat surface, I'm going to use this glass nail file as my flat surface, and you take your fingertip and you put it up to that flat surface, the fingernail and the tip of your finger should meet at the same time. You can actually kind of see I've been neglecting my nails a little bit past couple weeks because they're a little bit long. I've actually been doing that because I've been playing a lot of steel string recently, and when I play a lot of steel string guitar I don't file my nails as much because I'm afraid of the steel wearing down the nail or also breaking the nail, so I kind of let them just go a little bit. I work with a glass nail file. I'll tell you why shortly, and these are really handy, really kind of cheap to get to. Also, there are 6 micro mesh pieces of sandpaper for buffing the nail till it's nice and smooth, and this little foam pad to wrap the sandpaper around. I really like this system. Again, I believe it's by Oasis. We'll annotate that in the video. But I got this from stringsbymail.com and it was only about 20 bucks. Great little setup. So I'm only going to give you the way I do it. Again, there's hundreds of different ways that you can file your nails. Everybody's going to be personal about it, but I'm just going to show you what works for me, and through your playing you're going to just go ahead and see what works for you. There's a lot of literature on this, pumping nylon. There's a lot of the Aaron Shear guitar methods. He goes into great depth about how to file your nails, and goes into specifically shaped nails and what's the best shape for that. But I'm just going to show you what works best for me, and you can go from there. So I like to start with the fingers first, and one thing I do is that I like to get right down into the corner first underneath of the nail. I like to make sure that that little corner isn't going to grab the string, and that there is a nice seamless slant for the string just to kind of go right off of. You want to be careful here. Notice I'm going just one direction with the nail file. I'm not going back and forth vigorously. You want to be careful not to thin out the nail too much, or else you're going to not have a lot there and it's going to be prone to break. Also, if you have nails that kind of like to dip down, you also want to kind of take care of that little dip. Flatten the nail out as much as possible. Just like that. I don't know if you can see that. Right, that, and then from there I'll go around the front of the nail, holding it towards me just like this, and just shaping it just the way I like. Every once in a while I'll take the end of my nail file and I'll check my length. Length is something too that's going to be real personal for everyone. Some people like them a little longer or a little shorter. Again, experiment and just see what works best for you. Alright, and I'll go through, and each finger I will do the same way. One thing you want to watch out for is if you see on my middle finger there, you see that little wave? That's another thing that you really don't want. Alright, you want to flatten that out as much as you can. I like my nails, again, to be nice and rounded. They give me a nice, smooth tone. The more of a point you get to your nail, the sharper your tone's going to get. Some people like that. I like it rounded because I can go for just a real mellow tone, but also I can control it so that I can go for a really bright or even a nicer smooth tone. And again, I'm not going to do them all right in front of the camera. I'm just going to give you an idea. And you want to do this again every time you touch the guitar. You want to create a consistent platform to work with. You want to have your fingernails be the same shape every time you go to touch the guitar. And that's the way your technique is going to take off. If they're a little long one day, well, that's going to affect your technique. If they're too short the next day, that's going to affect your technique, and you're not going to progress, the right way. I always compare it to a surgeon who has to go into surgery, who has a different scalpel to work with every time. Alright, go from a really sharp scalpel to a really dull scalpel, or a really short scalpel to a really long scalpel. I don't think the surgeon's going to be a very good surgeon. The A finger on a lot of people too will be more curved than the rest of your fingers. I don't know if you can see that. The A finger will need a little more attention as far as just trying to flatten out the fingernail. And again, I'm not going to go nuts and do them all. I'm just going to give you a rough idea of what I do at home. The thumb, this is a thumbnail shape that works for me. Again, there's all sorts of types of nail shapes. I like to have the option of getting all the flesh on the bass string, or nail on the bass string, or a little bit of a combination of both. I've seen a lot of radical nail shapes. This one works for me. If anything, it's a little too long for me right now, but that tends to be what I'd like to have. And I'll go about this the same way, starting underneath the nail. Slow passes. Then going around the front for my final shaping. These glass nail files are great. They're not like your metal diamond files that you'll find in a cosmetic department. What's great about these is that they're great in taking away a lot of nail for your shaping, but they're not going to take away too much. You can control how much you want to take away, and they're not going to really tear up the nail while you go and do your passes. And it saves you time when you go to buff with your sandpaper over here. Alright, so moving on to the sandpaper part, I start with a heavier grit. This is 2400. just wrap it around your little foam block, and then from here I'll just lightly start to buff the nail. Again, starting underneath. On this you can go back and forth, just don't press down too hard. Yeah, just really lightly. And then I'll move down the line, in which case there's 6 different pads here. I use, sometimes depending on how bad my nails are, I'll start and I'll do all of them, or if they're not too bad one day, maybe I'll just start on 4, work my way down. But the idea is, at the end of it, you want to be able to run your fingernail along your nail and not feel a single thing. You want to feel it smooth as crystal. Alright? And that's how you know that when you go to play, you're not going to hear a single little buzz, it's not going to get caught up on anything. Alright, just like that, you shouldn't feel a thing. Alright, and again, just take the 10 minutes, 15 minutes that it takes to file your nails. Your practice session will go much smoother, and you'll find that you will be improving a lot faster as long as you pay attention to this. Another thing you have to worry about when the nail is too long is that it's actually going to slow down your playing. Alright, when you go to pluck and you have a really long nail, well, that's all the more nail the string has to go through to finally be released. So it can slow you down, and there's also going to be a delay in the time it takes for you to pluck the string and when the string is actually released producing the sound, which can affect your timing.